Pokemon fans love to say they've seen everything. The glitches, the trivia, the cut content, but every time I dig into these games, I find details that make me sit back and go, okay, what was Game Freak even doing here? So today I'm going to show you the Pokemon facts that shouldn't exist, stuff that feels wrong, broken, or just completely unexplained until you see the truth behind them. Focus Energy's description says it raises critical hit ratio, but in reality, in red, blue, and yellow, it really does the opposite. Because of a bug in the formula, using Focus Energy or the item Dire Hit makes your Pokemon 4 times less likely to land a critical hit instead of more likely. The bug is extra cursed because of how Gen 1 crits work. Critical hit rate was based on a Pokemon's base speed, not its current stats. So fast Pokemon like Jolteon or Persian already have really high natural crit rates. Moves flagged as high crit like Slash or Razor Leaf multiply that chance even more. So if you were using Focus Energy on something fast that already crit all the time, you were actually crippling its biggest strength, and the move that was supposed to help you clutch out a win just quietly sabotaged your damage. Later games and Stadium fixed the formula, so Focus Energy actually boosts crit the way it was meant to, but the original Gen 1 cartridges never got patched, meaning in those versions, Focus Energy will always be a fake buff that secretly nerfs you. It's one of those rare cases where a flavor text is correct, but the code is doing the exact opposite. Pokemon Yellow has a fully playable surfing minigame called Pikachu's Beach, and most players never even knew it existed. It's hidden on a house on Route 19, and when you talk to the surfer inside, he'll only let you play if you have a Pikachu that knows surf in your party, which sounds normal until you remember Pikachu cannot learn surf by leveling up or using an HM in Pokemon Yellow. In the original Game Boy release, the only legitimate way to get a surfing Pikachu was either through a limited time event distribution or by beating the Master Ball Cup in Pokemon Stadium with a team imported from your Game Boy game, and with Pikachu participating in the final battle so you can unlock a special move tutor that teaches it surf. If you manage that, the surfer finally lets you play Pikachu's Beach, a full minigame where Pikachu rides a surfboard, jumps off waves, and changes tricks for score. It even supported by the Game Boy printer, so you literally could print out a little slip with your high score on it like an old arcade ticket. In Pokemon X and Y, there's a creepy moment in Lumiose City that feels like it belongs in a horror game, not a kid's RPG. You take the elevator to the second floor of a seemingly normal office building, and then the screen flickers. Your character freezes, and a Hex Maniac style girl suddenly appears right behind you. She glides across the floor without moving her legs and quietly says, "No, you're not the one." Then she disappears. No battle, no item, nothing. The game never explains who she is, and there's no hidden NPC later who references her by name. No post-game event or in-game lore that directly connects to her. The only follow-ups we have are weird echoes of that scene. In Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, a Hex Maniac in Mount Pyre uses the exact same line, "No, you're not the one." But this time she doesn't float or disappear, she just says it and stands there. Fans have built entire theories around her that she's tied to Kalos's darker history, to Mount Pyre's grave, or even to some unreleased side quest. But as of now, all we know for sure is Game Freak deliberately put a unique model, animation, and line of dialogue in a major city and then never connected it to anything on screen. In Pokemon Red and Blue, on Route 10 outside the Rock Tunnel, there's a lass who says, "The Pokemon here are so chunky, there should be a pink Pokemon with a floral pattern." At the time, this line was just odd. No Gen 1 Pokemon really matched that description, but then Gen 5 dropped, and suddenly we get Munna, a psychic type that is literally a pink chunky Pokemon covered in floral patterns. The line became famous as early Munna foreshadowing. For years, the theory was Munna was an old scrap concept from Gen 1 that finally got used in Gen 5, but when an old interview with art director Ken Sugimori was translated, it complicated things. He explained that Munna and Musharna's designs were created for Gen 5, with Musharna coming first, and there was no mention of an old Gen 1 design revived. So we're left with a new kind of weird, where the line in Gen 1 clearly matches them, but official commentary suggests Munna wasn't a leftover Gen 1 design. Was it retroactive foreshadowing, a lucky coincidence, or devs quietly referencing their old dialogue? We don't know, but that one last accidentally created one of the longest running how far ahead do they plan debates in the series. From Generation 3 through 5, Azurill had one of the strangest evolution side effects in the entire franchise. Azurill had a 75% chance to be female, and Marill and Azumarill had both 50-50 chances of being male or female. Because of how the gender data was stored and converted between forms, when a female Azurill evolved, there was about a 1 in 3 chance it would become a male Marill. Not visually, or not through an item, just a straight up gender flip from leveling up. This wasn't a special feature or a lore thing, it was effectively a design implementation mistake caused by different gender ratios. Breeders could get thrown off if they were tracking egg groups and genders by memory, and even moves such as Attract, which are based on gender, would have different effects. Game Freak quietly fixed this from Gen 6 onwards, so Azurill keeps its gender when evolving. For 3 generations though, it was the only Pokemon line where a completely normal level up evolution could literally change a Pokemon's gender. In Pokemon X and Y, a backpacker gives you a strange little idol called the strange souvenir. It doesn't cause an evolution, it doesn't trigger an event, and it doesn't even have a use battle. battle. All you get is a flavor text saying it's an ornament of a Pokemon venerated as a protector in some region far away from Kalos. But for a while, people assumed it was just a random world-building item. Then Sun and Moon came out and introduced Alola, and suddenly everything snapped in place. The idol's shape closely resembles the guardian deities, especially Tapu Koko, and in later games, the item's description is literally updated to say it's from Alola and depicts a Pokemon revered as a guardian deity there. So in hindsight, the strange souvenir was an early sneak peek at the next region, just sitting in your bag while you played X and Y. And what makes it fun is how subtle it was. No NPC outright says Alola, and the item does nothing mechanically. You only realize it was foreshadowing if you complete its old description to the updated one in later games. It's one of the best examples of Game Freak hiding future generation hints in items players usually ignore. Agatha from the Kanto Elite Four and Bertha from the Sinnoh Elite Four feel weirdly connected, even though the games never spell it out. They're both older women and very similar silhouettes and personalities, which are calm but intimidating. They're both framed as veteran trainers who've seen everything, and then Legends Arceus comes in and adds fuel to the theory. The bandit leader Charm, who comes from Kanto, uses both Gengar and Rhydon in battle, and matches Agatha's ghost-type Ace and Bertha's ground-type line, respectively, and according to official profiles, bears a striking resemblance to both Agatha and Bertha, while the game pointedly leaves any exact relationship unknown. Fans read Charm as a likely shared ancestor for both Elite Four members, a single character whose team and design echo both of them at once. So officially Game Freak stops just short of confirming anything, but between the names, the mirrored designs, and the Legends Arceus ancestor, Agatha and Bertha feel less like two separate characters and more like part of one long, quietly connected family line. So yeah, some of these are bugs, some are secrets, and others are long lost clues that sat in plain sight for years. But together, they're a reminder that no matter how much we think we know about Pokemon, there's always more lurking beneath the surface. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and would want more videos on lesser known Pokemon facts.